Welcome to Christian Financial Perspectives, where you're invited to gain insight, wisdom, and knowledge about how Christians integrate their faith, life, and finances with a biblical worldview. Here's your Christian Financial Advisors host, Bob Barber, and his co-host, Shawn Peters. Welcome to another episode of Christian Financial Perspectives. We're so glad that you joined us. If you'd like financial topics from a Christian perspective, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. That'll help us out, but it'll also help other potential viewers and listeners to find this kind of content. Now, today we're going to be covering part 2 of 2 for life's 6 financial stages. Now, if you haven't seen the first episode, we covered the first 3 stages ranging from your 20s to your late 50s. So link is in the description, or you can click the video should be over here on screen. And so with that, let's get into the next 3 of 6 stages. And Bob, over to you for that.
Yeah, so here I'm in this 4th stage that we're going to be discussing. We're going to discuss stage 4, 5, and 6 today. All right, and that 4th stage is from your early 60s, or 60 years old, and I turned 60 last year, from your 60s to your mid-70s, okay? And I call this the retirement and traveling years. I wonder why I would call it the traveling years. Okay.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You want to read the scripture? Or
I think the scripture is good to read, because the scripture, and we read this last week, is because it really talks about life, doesn't it? So go ahead, Shawn.
So we're going to be reading Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 7. A time for everything. Verse 1, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, and finally a time to be silent and a time to speak.
This one of that scripture says a time to throw away. In this stage 4, that could be a time to start throwing away some of that junk you've accumulated in those first 3 stages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's during this stage where you become an empty nester. Many times, the children are on their own now. At least you hope they are. Okay. This is the retirement point. During the 60s sometimes, or it may be even in mid-70s. Now, I've decided I'm not going to retire till I'm 85, so my wife says, no way are you retiring.
Well, you're not going to retire in the traditional sense of completely stopping work, because mainly you would just you would get bored out of your mind.
I would. Exactly. I love producing. I love producing this podcast. I love writing.
Exactly.
Okay. But you talk about the traveling years. Rachel and I are starting to do that. By the time this comes out, we would have gotten back from a trip to Europe, which I've never been to, and it's going to be really fun to go to. I'm looking forward to that. But we are empty nesters, and it's major traveling years, and it's not only Europe, but I see the RVing happening during this time for my retirees, and visiting friends and family. There's a lot of
traveling.
Yep. This is where the downsizing to probably a smaller home sometime from the 60s to the mid-70s, and possibly a retirement community. We got that one called between here and San Marcos, which we're between Austin and San Antonio, called Kissing Tree. It's got to be 55 and up to live in there. So on a golf course, it's got all the pickleball,
downsizing for
stuff.
Something easier to take care of, or just hanging out with the other people in that stage of life. You're going to get more time with the grandchildren.
Yep, hopefully.
And at this point, if you haven't already had some health issues, this is usually when those the normal wear and tear health issues, if you will, start popping up. And that's just part of life, right, Bob?
Yep, exactly. So I have 7 financial takeaways on each stage, just like we did last week. We have financial takeaways during that stage. Okay, so good financial advice during this point is more important than ever. I mean, this is very important during this point, this stage, because the biggest concern is running out of retirement assets before life ends. And you got to be very careful about overspending in the beginning years of retirement. There's that tendency, I'm going to go travel, I'm going to buy that RV, and then all of a sudden, what happened to a third of my retirement? I've seen this happen from being in the business for years. Debt, it is not to be tampered with at all at this age.
Yep.
Okay, like I said,
don't mess with her.
Yeah, exactly. Just stay away from her. Okay, possibly downsize to a smaller home to lower expenses. Buy the best health supplement plan you can get. I promise you, you're going to be glad you did. I've run into a lot of my, when it's the Medicare, Medicaid, and the supplements, get that best supplement that you can. Number 6.
Update your estate plan for both your spouse and your children's sake.
That's right.
Because, again, you don't want something to happen and that estate plan to be outdated or non-existent. I mean, hopefully you do have an estate plan, but if you don't, get one now.
That's amazing if you don't have one by now, but hopefully
it
if you're in
happens,
the and I know it does. I see it happening all the time. Number 7, sell off those unneeded assets that cost unneeded money.
Yeah.
Okay, or make low returns. I would really invite you to go back and listen to podcast number 129 if you own rental homes.
That's right. It's the one. Are rental homes a good investment?
And the yield of the rental home after taxes, insurance, and maintenance is no more than about 3 or 4%. You can make that in a CD today. Okay, and so I really think that's a good example of to unload those assets if you got several rental homes.
So go back again. That was episode 129, and then the last financial takeaway: make sure you build a diversified portfolio that can keep up with or overcome inflation, but be sure that you are limiting your risk as much as possible. So there's a balance to that.
Right, there is. You got, but you got to keep up with inflation. So
Yeah.
you just can't go all the way over to the left, super conservative. You still need to have some in a moderate portfolio.
Stage 5, the slowing down years.
Yeah, that's not now. It's like, okay, I've done my traveling, and actually the cost during this retirement stage goes way down. Okay. All right, and it's going to go up in that last stage because of health costs, but the health cost goes way down, but the health issues, they just start popping up left and right, and that's sad, but they do.
So again, stage 5, the slowing down years, from your mid 70s to your mid 80s. Your health issues start popping up. There's less travel, if any, because it's just harder. Possible loss of a spouse.
This happened with my mom. My dad passed away when my mom was 80 years old, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, my dad was 83, 84. And
might be the next one. You might be selling your last home.
Yep,
and primary home.
I'm thinking about my mom, and she's 88 now, and she did a couple years ago. She sold her last home.
Yep.
Okay,
and moved into assisted living.
That's correct.
Which is also pretty common, especially by mid-80s.
By the way, because she's so social.
Oh yeah.
She's doing something every day. She has a meal with all of her friends. It's a great place.
She's got her bridge club, right?
Yes, she does.
Exactly.
Yep. And they play dominoes and all those. They even have a miniature golf course there. It's
nice.
It's amazing. So financial takeaways. There's a must-have again for a trusted financial advisor to help you make those wise decisions during this stage. And the second thing that's really important is that you need a younger trusted family member to help with those financial decisions.
Preferably something like limited power of attorney, just in case maybe there's a health issue to where you're not able to voice your concern. So having that trusted younger family member, being able to be empowered to help you with those decisions. And the other thing too, that unfortunately it happens, but as you get into this stage, the chances of memory issues occurring also go up drastically. So that's again that other part of having that trusted family member, because you might be great, and then next month all of a sudden you just can't remember what's going on with finances. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And the financial takeaway, which you talked about, you end up doing anyway, is that you sell that home. That is, and it helps with the financial cost of this. We're using the sale proceeds from my mom's home to help offset the cost, and we have all her estate planning documents updated, and we've got a great power of attorney, financial power of attorney. It's so important that you have that trusted family member to help you with these items.
Which is our number 4 of 4 for these financial takeaways. All your estate planning documents need to be updated. And like we were just saying, a good suggestion is have a medical power of attorney and a financial power of attorney in place with that younger trusted family member.
Now we get to stage 6. If you're lucky enough to make it this far.
If you make it this far, congrats.
Exactly.
You won. You made it to stage 6.
Yep.
Not all of us get to this part.
Right, which is the mid-80s to mid-90s and to 100.
Yeah.
By the way, I went to see my mom this weekend, and they were having a person there having their 100th birthday. And you want to sit down with somebody like that and talk to them. I mean, you think about that. This is 2023. They were born in 1923. They went through the Great Depression, and they've seen life change so much. I can't imagine. So here's what I say: you're hanging on. You're hanging on for dear life at this point. Okay.
Well, let's make sure we cover it. It's the stage 6, the no-go or assisted living years.
Right.
And like you said,
it's
starting in the mid 80s to mid 90s, maybe 100 if you lived to 100. And like you said, first one, hanging on for dear life.
Yep. I'm sorry. And I don't mean to offend any of you, my clients that are in this. I got some clients that are this age, okay? But then they've had a few things happen that it's very close, it's on the edge. But what's interesting is the few clients that we have, they're actually living with a family member, not in assisted living like my mom is.
Typically, it's going to be one of these two, though.
Yeah.
It's either assisted living facility at this point of some kind, or living with a family member. It just depends on the situation.
I actually had a client that was living in assisted living, and then the family member built them a really nice little bungalow off the back of the house. Yeah. Okay, all right. Major health issues are very likely at this stage. Short-term memory loss may be occurring, and of course, you got a lot of great grandchildren coming along. So
possibly loss of hearing and eyesight.
So we're starting that with me.
That's okay. You're not quite into this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a long ways from there. So hopefully they'll have ear replacement by then. You know?
Maybe even get a new ear.
Put a new ear in. All right. So financial takeaways. If the assets have not run out yet, invest conservatively to moderate at best. So you don't have nothing to do with growth. Yeah. Unless those are assets that you're going to pass down to the next generation.
Right.
Now we have some clients that are multimillionaires, and they've put aside $100,000 or $200,000 for the grandkids, and that is in growth, and they want to be there.
But if it's assets that you're using for yourself to take care of your needs,
right,
conservative to moderate. Otherwise, if it's going to the next generation, then
that's because you may need to reach into that because the health issues can be very costly.
Which is number 2. Health issues can be costly.
That advisor relationship, that financial advisor relationship is very important, along with the trusted child or grandchild that's handling finances. And Shawn, I think it's very important that trusted child or grandchild have the relationship with the financial advisor that their parents are using. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Or grandparent, depending on which one it is.
And these financial accounts at this point, I feel should be in a trust or definitely have stated beneficiaries, payable on death to avoid probate. But I like the trust part because it makes it so much easier to have a trustee, and a trusted child or grandchild needs to have a complete financial power of attorney to act on the behalf during this stage.
Yep.
All right. Whew. So there you go. So there you have it. We've gone through 6 financial stages of life, from the beginning years in the 20s to the growing years in the 30s and 40s to the maturing years, to the retirement and traveling years, which is stage 4. We covered that today. The slowing down years, and then the no-go years. It's quite a life if you're blessed with all 6 stages, and each stage has very different issues and needs that is in need of a well-qualified financial advisor that has the experience to guide you through these stages and understands them.
That's right.
All right.
So if you have watched this or listened to this and you're thinking, I like how Bob and Shawn were talking about it, we'd love to hear from you. You can comment. You can also visit our website, christianfinancialadvisors.com. And during business hours, Monday through Friday, you can call or text us at 830-609-6986. We're here to serve, and thank you for joining us. Bob, do you have any final words?
No final words. There's enough there. We've had a lot of words these last 2 months. We laid a lot on our listeners and
Well,
watchers.
That is true. And God bless you. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this and for sticking through it.
Yep.
And have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to like and comment and subscribe to our channel so you can get future updates. You can also follow us on social media, handle shown on screen. In the meantime, check out one of these other videos.